What's the best strategy for getting patients when you're limited by in-person marketing? So one thing that you will have your voice. And if you enjoy educating people and teaching people, speaking is a great way to be bringing patients in the door, whether it's for your in-person practice or telehealth, or even bring in another stream of income. But what are the different opportunities out there? And what are some considerations for getting booked for them? So I'm going to share 4 types of online speaking opportunities so you can actually take advantage of them, see what you like about it, and take advantage of them. So that way you're able to still help more people, reach more people at once, and not be worried about how are you going to attract patients. So I'm Chen Yen, 6 and 7 figure practice makeover mentor at Fill My Holistic Practice. And you can find us at introvertedvisionary.com. And we help holistic health practitioners with filling up their practices with patients. And that way they can just focus on helping people instead of worrying about where to find them, and really help them grow practices that are fulfilling for them. And for our practitioners who are already busy, we get them to the place where they can actually have a practice that runs without them. The first type of speaking opportunity is do webinars. And when you're not able to be in front of people in person in a group, imagine having the opportunity to reach a whole room full of people without actually having to have the anxiety of a bunch of people staring at you. In person, physically, right? What I like about webinars is that it's still something where people would be making the time to listen to. So it's not as fleeting as something like a video or something like that. So people actually, if they're interested in the topic, they make the time and then they go attend it. So you have more of that captured audience there, attentive audience. And then the other thing that's nice about it is that you don't have to worry about how you look on a webinar. So you can choose to be on video, but you can also choose not to be on video. I confess there have been many times, I've given webinars in my pajamas and my hair up in a ponytail. And nobody's ever known that, right? So that you could do that too. And then the best part about webinars is that once you actually get it to a point where it's converting, meaning that you're actually getting patients from it, because it's one thing for people to know about you through it and get educated. It's another to actually be inspired to become a patient or take you up on whatever it is that you're offering. Some of you are offering automated online courses or group programs or other things that can bring in other streams of income. So whatever it is that you're offering, once you actually get people interested in something like that through your webinar, and they're proven conversions at that point, you've developed your skill set there, then you could put it on autopilot. So you can actually have people listen to what you have to say, and then you could be eating dinner or playing with your kids or doing other kinds of things, sleeping even, and people are still learning from you. So that's the nice part about automating a webinar. So and I'd like for you to type in the chat, have you done a webinar before, or what kinds of online speaking opportunities have you actually done? So isn't it so cool that now more people are actually open to being online, because you could reach people not just within your community, but even in the state. You can reach them across the country and even all across the world, and be educating people, helping people that way. So now the second type of online speaking opportunity that can work to bring patients in the door is doing podcasts. So podcasts are nice because they're easy to get booked on if what you can talk about is very relevant to what the host an audience, well, essentially what the audience of that podcast is really looking for. So it's easy to get booked. The only drawback that I would say is that many times the audience is more fleeting. They might be driving, at the gym, working out, or on their way to somewhere. while listening to it. How many times have you perhaps listened to a podcast and then 10 minutes later you realize, oh wait, what did they just say? And then you end up rewinding and listening to it again. So it's more fleeting. So if you're actually inspiring someone to take an action from there, then they might not have even finished the podcast and not even have even heard you inspire them to that point. Or if you are the host of a podcast, people might get used to listening to you and then just think, oh, I'll just catch the next podcast. Whereas, for example, in a webinar situation, especially if they're watching you in a webinar and they're physically there with you too, that you have their attention much more that way in terms of inspiring them to take some kind of an action. Now let's talk about what is number 3. So if you found what I've talked about helpful so far, go ahead and love this or comment below. Have you done a webinar or a podcast yet, and what that was like for you? So now the third type of online speaking opportunity, what is it? So this one is a really great one because when done right, you can actually be getting referrals from it and patients from it as well, which is to do interviews. So you can be interviewing, for example, other practitioners. And I had an acupuncturist client of mine. The first client I shared with you was a naturopathic doctor who ended up making thousands of dollars from the podcast. And this client of ours is an acupuncturist I'm thinking about sharing with you. So she ended up interviewed another practitioner, but then she ended up getting patients from it, which is really cool because that provider, her patients watched it and then decided to work with her. I had someone else who is also a client of ours where she actually interviewed the practitioner and the practitioner became her patient. So that was pretty awesome too. I had another client of mine who, because how many of you would love to get in with MDs? That would be awesome if you could get referrals happening from MDs. Medical doctors, they have thousands of patients in their practices, and many of their patients could use your help, and they would refer if they knew about you and trusted in you. But how do you actually get their attention? So a client of ours who, she wanted to be developing relationship further with this one MD, and she felt like this MD was referring patients to this other acupuncturist. And then so we talked about it and we decided that, hey, why don't you interview that MD? So she did that, and what ended up happening was that doctor was so excited about the interview. He was sharing the interview with his patients. And then she ended up getting 7 referrals from him that week, and from the interview. And he's also continued to give her referrals. Why? Because through interviewing him, he ended up understanding her better and her level of expertise better through the interview. Plus, they developed that connection further. So that's another avenue of bringing patients in the door through interviewing. So number 4 type of online speaking opportunity, it's doing videos. So there are different types of videos that you can do. One of them is Facebook Live. So, or you could do it on YouTube, or you could do a video that is pre-recorded. And then some people would do videos that are more professional looking, that are, for example, so videos tend to be, if it's not done more live and on platform like this or Instagram or IGTV, then it may be something that people might not check out as long. Like they might just watch it and then it ends up being more fleeting for them. So that is one drawback of video, but the key is if you are consistent with it and what you say people find is valuable and you're consistent, then people will start to pay attention. And then the other possibility is you can run ads you can just do one really good one and then run ads to it. for example, I have a client of ours right now, actually more than one, but this particular one I'm thinking of, she does Facebook Lives. She just posted in our private Facebook page the other day. So she did a Facebook Live and got 4 paid consults already out of it. Isn't that pretty cool? So it's a great avenue to build connection and have people get to understand what you can do to help them. Some of you might be thinking that, or you might be thinking that, but you're not very good on video, right? And I used to think that myself all the time. And actually now, if I look back at my older videos, I cringe. I try not to watch it because I just think it's not very good at all. But then the fascinating thing about it is that there's, so when I first started doing videos, I did this one video, and this is when I was primarily in my pharmacist recruiting business. And I had gone to a pharmacy conference because I'm originally trained as a pharmacist. So I went to this national pharmacy conference where there are over 10,000 pharmacists there. And I was at this FedEx Kinko's, and then someone came up to me and they said, "Hey, I know you." And I thought, who is this person? And she said, "I've seen you on video." And I thought, on YouTube, right? And I thought, really? Unbelievable, right? Because at that time, I didn't actually do that many videos back then, but at that moment just gave me the like, it just really made an impact on me as far as the power of video. And because you could create it once and then people could watch it at other times and then benefit from it. So there's still some really good aspects of it, even though, because comparatively to something like a webinar, it's still a bit more fleeting. It works better if you are more consistent with it, or if you do, one really good one and you get it out with good reach, then that can work really well too. So to summarize, the 4 types of online speaking opportunities are: number 1, webinars. And then I talk about how the webinars that, which one is one of my favorite? I'll share that with you in a moment. Number 2 is podcasts. And then number 3 is interviews. Shared with you how you could be getting patients and even provider referrals through interviews. And then number 4 being videos in different kinds of mediums, and then distributing it in the right platforms in the right way, having a system in place, and then that way it's automated. There are certain things that you could actually have being automated and reaching more and more people without having to speak more than that one time. So can you tell I'm an introvert and like to really make the most of what I share with people, go further than because that's great. So what is my favorite way of like in terms of speaking, online speaking opportunity? Go ahead and type in right now before I share with you mine. Go ahead and type in the chat, what is your favorite way? So for example, my favorite way is webinars. Why? Hands down, it is still the highest converting avenue typically, because people make the time to be there. They're not distracted with other things. So it's really great. But don't underestimate the power of things like, for example, video. I remember once I actually, one mentor that I've had, whom I was a part of a year-long mastermind where I highly invested to be a part of it, where other entrepreneurs also highly invested to be a part of it. I saw him for 10 seconds on video and decided, okay, this is my next mentor. And that's the power of video, because many times decisions like that are often made on an intuitive level. And so never underestimate that kind of connection someone can have with you through video. It's actually something that can have people be, like, you can have people be really attracted to you through it, and you could repel people very easily from it too. So the people who aren't in resonance with you, they will go the other direction. So then it's nice because it can actually easily also attract people who feel that resonance with you that just can't be experienced when it's just one dimensional, like writing something, and reading something that you might have written. So never underestimate still the power of some of the other avenues I've shared with you, but webinar is still one of my favorites for the reason of hands down, it's still one of the highest converting ones. And if you ask the top internet marketers, they will all tell you that too. As far as webinar, it can also end up being automated. So you can essentially create one signature talk and use it for the different platforms, whether it be webinar, interview, podcasts. So that way you're not having to reinvent the wheel. And that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of practitioners make is feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to do so many different things and I don't know what I'm going to say. And then even if they do know what they're going to say, it gets disappointing when it starts to feel like a lot of free public service, but very few people are actually becoming patients, getting inspired to become patients from it. So when you actually have one signature talk dialed in and used for these different purposes, then the world's your oyster with it. And so for additional training on how to actually get more patients through speaking, feel free to go to getbookedspeaking.com/factor. And I'll make sure to put it down below as well. So you can just click on the link. And then if you are at a place where you're at a plateau in your practice and you would like some insight into your practice and see how we can help you grow so that with more ease and flow, then go to introvertedvisionary.com. And there's definitely a reason why people who are like the recent president of the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians was a client of ours. The past president of American Chiropractic Association Sports Council, a client of ours, the American Society of Acupuncturists board members, a client of ours. There's a reason why many of the most visionary practitioners, holistic health practitioners, come to us to help them grow their practices to be more fulfilling and reach more people and help more people. So if you see yourself as a visionary, even if you feel like you're struggling, but you just know you're capable of so much more, then feel free to reach out. So go to introvertedvisionary.com and then request a booking in with us, and happy to give you insight and see how we can help.